We've seen a lot of Hotel Mario memes, even though the game itself is still horrible as it seems. But where are those creative, well-made mashups, which all of us can rely? Lucky there's a mashup guy. He's been making covers, he's a Rosalina lover. There'll be lots of things that'll make us laugh and cry. He's a mash-up guy.
Good morning, Vietnam! This is Dogs Eating Dog Sticks back once again to present my first ranking video on my channel. But before I start,
I have turned myself into origami! Yes, I'll be using this for now on. Anyways, if you thought my mashups and my rant videos were enjoyable, you haven't seen much yet.
And if you don't know what this latest video is all about, I'd say it's time we begin.
I've played Paper Mario the Origami King and I loved it. It's an underrated gem just like Super Paper Mario. These two games need more love. Well, more likely Super Paper Mario needs more love, but still. The game is visually incredible, with colourful environments, photorealistic looking paper, and realistic looking fluttering and folding animations. The writing and humour is great, the plot is decent, and the characters are likeable like King Ollie, Bobby, and the best character in the game, Olivia. Olivia is an amazing character with a fleshed out personality. She knows how to make good friends, especially with Luigi. I'm looking at you, Starlo! Her naive and dumb moments are hilarious. She does have sensitive moments. Her character design is adorable, and she can transform into anything that she wants, from all four Elementals to a giant mallet. Olivia is my favourite female lead in the Paper Mario series, and one of my two favourite female leads in the entire Mario series. The other is obviously Rosalina. But anyways, today I'm gonna rank all the bosses in the game from worst to best, just like how 𝕱𝔞𝔦𝔯 did with his rankings of the Origami King bosses, both main bosses and mini bosses. I recommend you watch these videos first if you haven't seen them. Also, subscribe to 𝕱𝔞𝔦𝔯. Now then, on with the list! To be perfectly honest, it feels really unfair to rank the 𝔰𝔲/𝔬𝔫 lookalike at the bottom of the list for one simple reason. It is not fun! It is a test of patience. And no, I am not exaggerating, because this fight is one of the cheapest and the first boss I genuinely hated in this game. You see, none of you understand the soul-sucking awfulness that is this boss. I mean, it does have a cool concept, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired. The design of this boss, based on a phoenix, does look badass, and the concept of launching its feathers onto the battlefield as some hazards to avoid is good.
and with those good things aside, you should see the first few problems.
This battle is frustrating and flawed because you're going to take a lot of damage during this fight. There's no way around it. Your task is to manage and minimize the damage you take while trying to keep the fight short.
Oh, what's that? You don't know how to beat this boss easily? Well, me neither, because this boss is really annoying.
Oh, and by the way, the fire you haven't extinguished yet, you'll run into them and burn your buttocks. Also, when you use the water elemental magic circle, the water does not extinguish all the fire, it just puts them out. The best strategy that you should use to beat this thing is just make a straight line and use shiny iron boots to take this thing down. Oh, and use 1,000-fold arms to finish you off by the time the fire elemental is vulnerable.
But wait!
There's more! Now, if you think you're ready to finish it off for real, well, think again, because the boss gets back up and fully heals itself, undoing the hard work you've done, and you have to do this all over again. So hold the phone. You're about to finish this thing off, and then it gets back up and rekindles its feathers, and then it regenerates its health? What the hell? Is this guy trying to be like an overpowered Super Saiyan? Is there something that Omni King Brayden and his 2 minions would do with their ultra instincts to taunt us or something? And if this pain couldn't last any longer, this fight lasts for goddamn ever! The Fire Elemental keeps regenerating again and again! Why won't you die? Nothing about the Fire Elemental is fun. A frustratingly unfair fight, obnoxious difficulty, taking damage immediately, relies too much on luck, irritating attacks, a pain in the ass to hit, regenerating again and again, and this whole fight makes my face melt or my head explode! Yeah, like that! Honestly, I'm just burnt out explaining everything. Let's just move on. If you thought the Fire Elemental is frustratingly hard, this, on the other hand, is lazy and easy in terms of the difficulty. Boss Sumo Bro is the laziest boss in the game. It's not really a boss battle at all, it's just a gauntlet of enemies. The game counts this as a boss, so I'm counting it as a boss. While I do like the return of the Sumo Bros, and I'm glad they bring them back in more Mario games, which is great. But at this rate, this could have easily been a lightning/thunder elemental, because out of all the bosses in Origami King, this is extremely unmemorable and forgettable. While the attacks from the boss can be devastating, but it's so easy, and it's not even fun either, because all you do is take out the smaller Sumo Bros that are on the ground who stole the on-switch panel and Earth Elemental magic circle and pummel them with the Earth Elemental. Also, the smaller Sumo Bros and the larger one on their platforms don't even bother to attack you while you're on the high ground. No punches, no kicks, no headbutts, no knees to the groin, no form of martial arts like an actual sumo wrestler would. Nothing. Then you do the same strategy again, but with a Fire Elemental magic circle, and you win by killing the larger Sumo Bro in one hit. This guy takes 200 damage, even though his actual HP is 180. So that means this boss can be finished way too quickly. But the music is really amazing. It's one of my favorite normal boss themes in the entire Mario series. But it's a shame that this theme only appeared twice, which is why I prefer Never Let Up from Mario and Luigi Dream Team, aka the actual best normal boss theme in the whole Mario series. So yeah, this guy is a wuss. While this is better than Boss Sumo Bro, this right here is basically fighting a regular Paper Macho minion, but in boss form. Also, the design is freaky, with a bunch of faces of many Bowser's minions, including Kamek, on a giant Buzzy Beetle. To beat it, you destroy these dry bone heads, which will release the minions, and later on, it uses Kamek's magic to try to kill you and pull Kamek off of the boss. And the second half is just another Paper Macho enemy fight. Overall, freaky design, even though I don't think Origami King is a dark game. Now we can move on to one of the better Elemental battles, starting with the Earth Elemental. This is a good fight because we're fighting a giant turtle, and the concept of hitting its legs, face, and tail to its shell works well for the first boss. So why is it low on the list? It's not because it's easy. No, Olivia just never shuts up, and it's unskippable. If you thought the tutorials from Partners in Time, Bowser's Inside Story, and Dream Team either have a character who doesn't shut up, or the constant tutorials that just drag are unbearable, as well as unskippable cutscenes, Olivia does the same thing, and I don't like that. I don't like Olivia constantly saying what you need to do next. It gets so annoying and it ruins the fight. This fight is pretty good, aside from Olivia pissing me off for something I already f***ing know! Okay, before we go on to the next entry, I'm gonna give Olivia a hug and not make her cry.
Mario! Ted cutscenes. This is it, Luigi. Gotta help you. I hope she made lots of spaghetti. 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 Luigi. Spaghetti. 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 Spaghetti, 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 spaghetti.
Well, Goopa Blooper from Super Mario Sunshine is back in Paper Macho form. So, you encounter this guy after you make your way to the Princess Peach ship while Mario and Bobby are on their quest to save Olivia after she got crushed by a giant boulder by Ollie. Bobby finds a box, but the Goopa Blooper steals it and you have to get it back. You have to avoid his attacks from the tentacles and knock the stickers off of them. With no tentacles, he'll jump on the boat and fights you head on. He also shoots ink and summons waves. You have to hit his face again and again, and you get the box back. And watch a really sad scene. This one is pretty fun, but not as fun as the last Paper Macho boss. We'll talk about this later. We're not done with the Velimental battles because this is the Water Velimental located in a temple in Autumn Mountain. And again, another dragon boss. Puffed, as if things couldn't get more cliche than that. Anyways, it's a great fight. The moveset is diverse and the spout gimmick is pretty cool. I also like the fact that after you jump on him, he then lowers so you can whack him with your hammer. When he charges his powerful attack, use the Earth Velimental magic circle to get to the high ground and avoid the Water Velimental's giant wave of water. A bit easy, but it's a good fight. And this is the first Velimental battle with a Velimental magic circle included. Okay guys, we are in the top 10 section, and thankfully this is the last Paper Macho fight, and honestly, this is my favorite Paper Macho boss, as this pokey means business. I know, wrong game. I really like this one because it had the greatest spectacle of them all and because of the atmosphere. You're fighting this thing inside a sandstorm in the middle of the desert, and what you need to do is when the Pokey slams down, you destroy one of its segments. After having one of its segments destroyed, the Pokey sinks back into the sand and creates tornadoes to rotate around the area. When you destroy all the segments, you must destroy the head. The head rolls around in the sand, chasing you before coming to a stop. With the head now upside down, you can get on top of it and hammer the sticker on the bottom of its head before it sinks back into the sand and destroy the head and end the battle. This is an intense battle and I love it. Now we come to the best Velimental battle for me, the Ice Velimental. Now, I know some people hate this battle and can't stand ice puzzles and ice physics, and I can understand why, but get good or get f***ed! So man up and fight this thing!
If you need instructions on how to get through the
Ice Velimental,
you're a fucking noob.
The concept is pretty cool, no pun intended. I swear, ice puns are not really that funny. Oh my god, I hate Batman and Robin. But really, only Olivia makes ice puns because at least those were funny. When the fight starts, the Ice Velimental surrounds itself in an ice block and you have to melt it with a Fire Velimental transformation. But you have to find a chest that contains the magic circle and waste a turn, which works well, I guess. Once he's down to half health, the Ice Velimental will unleash its ice maze, and as far as I know, It's a great gimmick, and basically, it gives you a path to memorize just to get the 1000-fold arms. If you fail, the Ice Elemental will use this insanely powerful move called Ice Age. But thankfully, it only rotates 3 rings and leaves ice where you should not go. Then, release your 1000-fold arms and slam him with your fists, and it's game over. Come back when you're a little, stronger. One last thing, I actually prefer the Ice Elemental mountain theme than Joke's End. Rock, paper, scissors, you want it? It's yours, my friend, as long as you have enough rubies. Anyways, you want to play a game of rock, paper, scissors? Well, you're gonna like this one. Out of all the mini-bosses in this game, 𝔞𝔤𝔦𝔯𝔦 is the most creative of the bunch. When it first appeared in Bowser's Castle, it snatches 𝕮𝔬𝔭𝔫 from you and you have to rescue her. After getting ambushed by cut-out soldiers, you make your way further into the castle and 𝔞𝔤𝔦𝔯𝔦 appears from behind and challenges you for a duel. The first half really isn't that impressive because you have to rescue 𝕮𝔬𝔫 while smashing it with your hammer and getting grabbed. Oh, and whatever you do, do not put that action panel near the boss because 𝔞𝔤𝔦𝔯𝔦 will flick it away, thus wasting your time. So the best strategy that you should use is to put it away from the boss. Once you finally rescued 𝕮𝔬𝔫, this is where the fun really shines. You're playing a game of rock, paper, scissors! If you win, you get to pummel that hand snake thing into oblivion. But if you lose, you must use your 1000-fold arms to block the 𝔞𝔤𝔦𝔯𝔦's fist, which is something you don't see often in earlier battles. It's so unique and I love it. Remember the same music from the boss Sumo Bro battle earlier? Well, here it is again, and it's way better here for a fun battle like this. Not to mention that scene after the fight where 𝕮𝔬𝔫 is sobbing her heart out after she is petrified. It just makes me want to give her a cuddle. I give 𝔞𝔤𝔦𝔯𝔦 an absolute thumbs up.
Oh ho ho ho! Feast your eyes upon my arsenal! 12 colored pencils ready to make your paper bodies my canvas! Ho ho!
Okay, now we're diving into the actual main bosses of the game. The reason why the main bosses are above the mini-bosses from earlier is because the mini-bosses are less than stellar. Either that, or I find the main bosses way more enjoyable than the mini-bosses. So, starting off with the first member of the Legion of Stationery,
Jean-Pierre Colored Pencils the 12th! Ho 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 ho!
He is the first chapter boss of this game, and this fight may be simple, but just learning the mechanics of how the boss battle works is really fun. Here, you have to go behind the boss, avoid his missiles that rain down on you, and close the lid, which causes the boss to blow himself up with his own missiles taking damage, and then start slamming the inside. Once Colored Pencils is low on health, he will make one final attack, which you can grab, pick up its missiles, and slam the case down for good. This is a great first chapter boss, but out of all the Legion of Stationery members, this is the most basic and unmemorable of the 6. I mean, not a lot of people are going to say their favorite boss in Origami King is Colored Pencils. But other than that, he's a great boss. Next up is the penultimate boss in the game, Stapler. Spoilers, if you haven't noticed, this thing is responsible for folding everyone into origami, including folding poor Bowser. You can tell because there's a shadow in the dungeon of Peach's castle from the prologue scene. Origami Castle is filled with many obstacles, but the biggest one outside of King Ollie himself is the Stapler, a tool that acts like a dog. The stapler will look to staple Mario in place so that way he can't execute his attacks. In order to do this, Mario needs to jump on the stapler enough times to get rid of its staples. When it runs out of staples, it will fall prone where Mario can execute more powerful attacks. The stapler will refill with staples from red to gold that deal more damage as the battle goes on. The fight only gets harder when the stapler replaces its grey staplers with red and gold ones, as each color change multiplies the amount of damage Mario may take. This is threatening and amazing, and I love it. When you finish him, Stapler has one of the most violent deaths of any Super Mario character, being snapped in half. In half!
Are you really crying because I said in half?
Yes!
Come on, dude!
However, given it is a sentient stapler and not a living being like Bowser, this is softened somewhat, but it is a brutal death regardless. Overall, it's a fun fight, but not so much right before the final showdown. Behold the power of my rubber bands! Let's see how well you take stage direction. Oh, ho, 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 ho. This is one of the Legion of Stationary members that actually has a personality because 𝔞𝔤𝔤𝔤 made a human shape out of the 3D objects rather than just have a 3D object and nothing else. But at least they put a character on stage rather than a stapler, which counts for something, I guess. So, after making your way through Shogun Studios and facing some challenges in Big Show Theater, you face Rubber Band himself and listen to that entrance music! This is another good fight, with bands shifting you between inwards and outwards. Anyway, the main goal of the battle is to remove as many rubber bands off this monstrosity as possible using the 1,000-fold arms. Yeah, it's kinda repetitive. After clearing them all, but the remaining larger rubber band, the player must get the large arms again to grab it and fling it off the stage. But other than those amazing things, there's not much to this fight. But it's great though. Moving on. Hey, looky here! It's me, Yape, the most powerful of all office supplies.
What? No. 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 No.
Get over there!
Just kidding! Correction, it's tape. So, after a long climb up the sea tower, Mario is greeted by a mobster-like tape dispenser. The battle requires Mario to find some missing icons in the chest and start destroying the dispenser that holds the tape. Once all 4 corners of the dispenser are destroyed, the next phase begins. The tape, now out of its dispenser, will start taping up parts of the puzzle board. This will cause 2 rings to be stuck to each other and move simultaneously. The players should use the 1,000-fold arms to inflict damage and the fire elemental to clear the tape. While the first phase wasn't bad for me, the second phase, that's a different story. He's rolling around the battlefield like a motorcycle, taping up several tiles, thus hindering the amount of things you can do in the battle, making them unmovable. There's no strategy other than getting rid of them using the fire elemental magic circle. Once tape is low on health, he'll charge a powerful attack, but you cannot use your 1,000-fold arms in this state, and the game doesn't tell you this, so you end up wasting a turn anyway, making you a sitting duck. The music is great as ever, and I do like the concept of this fight, from destroying the dispenser to fighting Tape himself, but other than that, the second half is a pain! Alright, ladies and gents, we're now moving to the dance floor with Hole Punch at the top 3. I know this is Shroob Invader's least favorite chapter boss, as I can understand why, but I still enjoy this one. One of the more surreal moments of the game is fighting a grooving hole puncher while surrounded by faceless toads. The showdown on the dance floor starts with Hole Punch taking out some panels to walk on. The goal is to damage its backside, which is considered the weak point. Meanwhile, the Hole Punch will start taking away Mario's max health by punching out parts of Mario. which is really scary. You can retrieve these parts on the board during a turn. The final goal of the fight is have Mario finish off Hole Punch with his 1000-fold arms and rip off his base. Well, guess what? Hole Punch doesn't like that because he forbids you to do that. Also, when Hole Punch is about to charge a powerful attack, I recommend using the Earth Elemental Magic Circle to have Mario get to the high ground, and Hole Punch will be upside down and become vulnerable. And when he is vulnerable, rip off his base and he's finished. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I had a blast. And the music, this music is nuts! It's excellent boss fight music, but I never expected to hear music like this in a Mario game. Cue the McDonald's jingle!
Da 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 da, I'm grooving it.
Hero so bold, despair and behold, for you shall be the final fold. Of course you were expecting the final boss to be one of the top entries on the list. Well, number 2 is King Ollie, the main antagonist of Origami King. He was created by the Origami craftsman to fit an origami castle during the Toad's Origami Festival, granting him life by using the Forbidden Fold of Life technique. The Origami craftsman wrote a message on Ollie's body, encouraging him to grow into a great king. However, Ollie misinterpreted the message on his body as a careless scribble and developed a massive hatred for the Toads and all those made of flat paper instead of origami.
I hate them. I hate them all. I killed them. I killed every one of them. Not just the men, but the women and the children.
But anyways, by the time Mario, Olivia, and Bowser make their way into Ollie's throne room, Ollie reveals that he stuck Peach's origami body on the wall and has created a plentiful of origami cranes, being only one short to perform the 1000 cranes technique and have a wish granted to erase the existence of all Toads on the planet. He taunts Mario about how he will turn his corpse into the very last crane, and prepares to kill him and his friends to use his body to succeed. Anyways, now on to the battle itself, and it has 3 phases. The first phase has Ollie transforming into one of the 4 Velimentals, and you have to retrace the weaknesses of the Velimentals and use it against them. And oh my gosh, this boss is amazing and rather challenging too. You have to learn the weaknesses, memorize the ice maze again, just right. One slip up could be the end of you. Also, if you take too long, Ollie will heal himself. So after a Velimental boss rush, Ollie is defeated. Or so you thought. Because Ollie starts to transform! Ollie now becomes a giant, and guess what? Olivia turns Bowser into an origami giant like Ollie, and the 2 villains fight to the death. However, Bowser needs your help, and so phase 2 starts. In this one, you have to knock Ollie off the stage by pounding the platform, allowing Bowser to push him off the stage. While you're doing that, you have to avoid some obstacles, especially origami thwomps, when Ollie is near the edge. So, after that, Bowser pushes Ollie off the stage and he's defeated again. But the fight still isn't over. Ollie swipes Bowser off the stage and he's back as a Titan. And oh boy, this is intimidating. More intimidating than Jasper Bad Jr.'s final form from No More Heroes 2, which some of you may or may not remember. Jasper Bad Jr. is my hated final boss of all time. And again, Ollie's final form is cooler than Jasper's final form. Anyways, a giant magic circle will appear in the arena and Ollie scrambles it, and you have to put it back together like a puzzle before the timer runs out. You are on a time limit, which adds some tension to the battle, and while that's going on, you have to dodge Ollie's attacks by pressing the A button at the right time. If the timer runs out or when the poison gets to you, it's game over for you. Once you've finally completed the magic circle, you go through a series of QuickTime events, and by the time Ollie is vulnerable, Olivia transforms into a giant mallet and smashes Ollie into oblivion, thus finally defeating him. And of course, they had to make his death seem very dramatic to the point where you do feel bad for him. Even though he did crush Olivia with a boulder and caused Bobby's death, which is considered unforgivable. This boss could have been number 1 if the last 2 phases weren't easy. While the first phase is amazing, the difficulty went downhill when it comes to phases 2 and 3. At first, I thought the last phase was going to be tedious as I was on a time limit. Well, think again. Because rather than being way too hard like the Shadow Queen, he's pathetically easy like Super Dementio. But hey, at least this fight isn't a joke like Super Dementio, because this is more challenging and fun. The final boss fight is easily the most whimsical and cinematic in the entire Paper Mario series. Well, if you want a bigger and better final challenge in a Paper Mario game, the Shadow Queen is for you. Oh, and there was some unpopular opinions that some people say that this fight sucks and Ollie is a crap villain. And yeah, some of us have really unpopular opinions. But when you have really unpopular opinions on this battle and this villain alone, as well as video game villains and boss fights we all know and love, I actually find that very disrespectful and toxic. That's right, you heard me. There are terrible villains in video games with poor motivations, crap boss fights, and barely get any screen time, including Jasper Bat Jr. and Lyric. Those are prime examples of crap villains. If you disrespect the Origami King himself and this fight one more time, then Dementio will end your game in a finger snap and you'll end up in the underwear. The Super Paper Mario equivalent of hell. But enough of that. I really enjoyed this one and I loved it. So, if Ollie isn't number 1, then who is? Well, you're about to find out right now.
That's right, the last one on my list is everyone's favorite office tool to cut some paper, scissors, and of course I would put him in number 1, and for good reason too. First off, scissors, of course, is my favorite Legion of Stationery member, because he's the most bloodthirsty and deadly out of the 6, and I thought the Deadly 6 was really unmemorable. When you first see him, he slices Bowser Jr. into pieces outside the entrance of Bowser's castle, when he first tries to gain entry into the castle to save his dad. He is also responsible for creating the cutout soldiers that lurk in the hallways of the castle, as they come in different shapes and sizes. They are tall, they are small. He also created Anaconda that captured Olivia, and lastly, Scissors created the paper mistake Buzzy Beetle as his last line of defense, by slicing Bowser's minions into tiny pieces and sticking their faces on this thing, including Kamek, angry that all of his creations were vanquished by Mario. So for punishment, he isn't gonna let you pass, thus beginning the fight. I'm not joking that this is my favorite Paper Mario boss ever. Oh sure, just pick the Shadow Queen or Super Dementio. Nah, most likely the former. The latter? Hell no! Anyways, let's get to the fight itself. It starts off the battle sheathing its blades with a plastic cover, claiming that it would be too easy to cut Mario up instantly, and when Scissors removes his cover, use the Ice Experimental Magic Circle to do the most damage to him. The fight is unique in that you have to time your attacks perfectly so that you don't attack the cover, hiding the Scissors blade. But once he removes his cover, this is where Scissors really shines. It's all intense, blood-pumping action from here. He uses cutting board to destroy several of the panels on the ring, including the magic circles and the on button, making it harder for you to get in the center of the arena. I felt a strong urge of satisfaction when jumping over Scissors' special attack countless times. Time it right, you'll be okay. But if you time it wrong, you get a fatality. I hope you get a 1-up if you get a fatality, because Scissors will dissect you. He's always on the hunt. That's right, his attacks can kill you in 1 hit, and when your HP drops to 0, you lose. It is really scary, because rather than blocking, this one you jump to avoid his attacks. This is way more enjoyable than the final boss, because what you're fighting is a giant pair of Scissors who has an insane bloodlust, trying to kill intruders who dare enter Bowser's castle. He can smell the blood. This is Scissors, and he's cutting paper characters, and paper is their blood. This is why I love the green streamer so much, because it had scissors in it. And lastly, the music. Out of all the bosses in the game, this is my favorite. I just love a fast-paced boss theme when you're fighting a really intense battle like this. And it's perfect. Like seriously, why is Origami King's soundtrack so catchy? And I didn't even find a song that is dull, forgettable, or bad. This is fantastic, and definitely my favorite boss in Origami King and all of Paper Mario. Once again, I've cut a worthless object.
So there you have it, folks, my ranking of the Origami King bosses. So, what's your ranking of the bosses, and let me know in the comments below. Some may have unpopular opinions, but hey, we all have them sometimes. Also, I recommend checking out 𝕬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬 first. Those videos were great. Also, please make sure to check out my Batman and Robin and Modern Family Guy rants if you haven't yet. Trust me, you will love them despite my hatred towards them. I'll be making another rant video on my channel since my previous 2 rant videos. What will it be? Well, ever since that one request, it's gonna be ranting on Activision Blizzard, as I'll be making a script for that, as well as another rant video on my despised YouTube video ever, Racist Mario. And of course, my next mashup, as well as my next video, is the entire Bowser battle medley from Super Mario Galaxy that will consist of Nemesis King Bowser and Battle for the Grand Star. Also coming soon will be Adventures End V2, which, believe me, will be way more epic than my first version. As well as 3 mashups in between those two. Zero 2, Handaconda V2, and Gangplank Galleon. All I could say is look forward to those 5, as I'll be back in business for making mashups. Everywhere else, I'll be making plans for what I'll do next for Super Origami Kingdom, as well as my channel. Also, look forward to episode 3 of the King Ollie Show, as well as an upcoming video on Super Origami Kingdom, Mario characters good to evil. Hope you look forward to that one too. This is 𝕮𝔬𝔭𝔬𝔫 𝕮𝔬𝔭𝔫 signing off. Thanks for watching. Ciao!